Saranam Deepakyagunavam Adindrasnavam Vande Ramanuja Mataram Munim Lakshminaramaram Bhavanadayamam Padacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yonisyamarchitapadaham Vajiknasatvabhyamo Hitaskaritarani Ayane Tasmadhor Bhagavatos Sadhaika Sindhu Ramanujasya Charanau Shanam Prabhajye Kaundinyamaya Sanjatam Shatagopa Gurochutam Rangadeshika Sastisham Sri Pillalokam Gurum Vaje. Dear Bhagavad Bandhus, today is the most auspicious day for all of us, because today we are so blessed that we are here, we are celebrating the Tirunakshatra Mahotsav of our Acharya, Bhagavad Ramanujacharya Jayanthi I. For all our Sanatani Dharmis and Astikas, he is the Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. For not outside the foreigner people, outside of the religion people, he may be a Vedantin or a philosopher. Even if you take the designation as a philosopher, he was one of the greatest philosophers that ever graced on this planet. So you can ask that, okay, you are from the Ramanuja Sambandhi, you can say that Ramanuja is the greatest philosopher for you. But for other Sampradayas, they might have their own gurus too. But it is not my point. Max Muller indulges himself saying that Bhagavad Ramanuja gave the soul back to the philosophers who lost their souls over the course of time. This is what Max Muller said in his Hindus and what India and what he taught to us in a lecture in the university. So, why he is the greatest philosopher? We have so many philosophers grace this planet. On the western side, from Thales to the Socrates to the Plato to the Aristotle. All these great philosophers they revived their works and they disagreed with each other. They produced their monumental works which stood as their founding principles for the Western philosophy. So why it is a great for our Ramanujacharya's philosophy, why he is the greatest one. I won't go to the much of the philosophy because it would be boring and then it is very hard to digest. But once you digest, once you know it, it will change the life, it will change how you pursue the things. But we'll give the only three values for why he is the greatest philosopher on this planet. So when there is any disagreement or when you providing any philosophical work, all the greatest philosophers, Socrates to Plato, they disagreed each other on something. Aristotle entirely disagreed on Plato's school of thought. But whenever they produce their works, they said that, okay, I am proposing this is the solution, this is the problem, and this is my thesis. So when they are disagreeing with others also, they didn't mention any of those others ones. They slightly go overview on that, briefly describe what they thought, and then what their rebuttal was. The greatness of the Ramanujacharya's works was, whether you take a Sri Bhashyam, whether you take a Vedanta Deepam, Vedanta Sar, Vedanta Sanganam, all these works, he mentions what the Sridhara Mata says, what Shankara Mata says, what Bhaskara Mata says, and then now, this is another purpose. He never says that, okay, this is in my view, in my assumption, in my way, he never says that. He always says that according to Badarayana, according to Odulomi, according to Vyasa. And he always gives the references to the Vishnu Purana, Brahmanda Puranas, Shruti Vakyas. So he never says that, okay, in my view, this I refute this. So that is the way. So now, why it is monumental work? Let's say, for suppose next few years, next few centuries, if we get the Shankaracharya's work or the Bhaskaracharya works got extincted, if we can save the Ramanujacharya work, their works also be saved. Because he already mentioned what they said, and then he already said. So he saved the philosophical literature of his predecessors too. So that kind of a monumental work he produced. Rest of the literature was existing on the west side or the east side. Even the Japanese philosopher you take, it's only about the works they produced. They didn't try to save their predecessor works. In fact, some of them tried to destroy the predecessor works too. But Ramanujacharya was never been like that. And then he always gave and then entire Ramanujacharya was a realist, says the German philosopher Kant. So he's a realist and then he's always straightforward. There is no confusion. He Supreme Ramanujacharya, entire Sri Sampradaya depends upon the two main pillars. One is Parartha Chintana and Pativratya Vratam. Parartha Chintana is always dwelling on the lotus feet of the Bhagavan, who is Srimanarayana, the Supreme Brahman. There is no doubt about that. And then Pativratya Chintana. The Pativratya Chintana in our materialistic life is between wife and husband. The Pativratya Chintana, Bhagavad Ramanujacharya expects is with Bhakta to the Bhagavan. So no more asking for any other lotus feet. No more. There is no other upaya except his lotus feet is the upaya. So there is in Bhagavad Ramanujacharya Matas, in Sri Vaishnava thing, so there is no way so you can do anything. You can pray to anything. No. Everything as a Sri Vaishnava, everything as a Vishnu. Everything, every God, every being, non-living being, sentient, non-sentient, as a Karya Karanam Sambandhi. So with that, he said, so the next reason, there are few philosophical conflicts, theological conflicts we have. If you know basics of the philosophy, we have a few philosophical conflicts. Day-to-day life, one of our friends, okay, might be asking us, okay, if God is omnipresent, omnipotent, all pervading, all forgiving, all goodness, how there is a evil exist on this planet? So this is the philosophical conflict that we have. So for this, the entire Western philosophy has gave answers to. Aristotle gave answers. There is a great Christian philosopher called Saint Augustine. Without his monumental works, the entire Bible is just mundane moral code of conduct. Other than that, nothing else. But he gave the theological fragments to the Bible. So Saint Augustine kid, his 5-year-old kid died. So and Saint Augustine has incurred this loss, and then he gave the solution for this. He gave these 12 solutions that I'm not going to talk to. But so in one of the solution, he says that there are two things. When there is an evil occur, there is a perpetrator and there is a victim. So Augustine says that the perpetrator is doing this with his will of its own will, not by the God. So you cannot blame the God for that. So the critic says, okay, fine. But God is all knowing, so God knows that he is doing the will, so he can take 50% of the blame. Now the victim, Augustine says the victim is because God is punishing for the evil deed that he did. So now here the God is 100% involved, that God is punishing him. So there are these holes which gives the negative meaning to this omniscience and all goodness of the God. Now coming to the Ramanujacharya's first of all definition of the thing. So they say that the Jnanam, the Chinmatra, just the Chaitanyam is the Parabrahma. So it comes in the intelligence, that's what called intelligence in English, we call rarely translated intelligence. So this is a very beautifully derived. When there is an intelligence, intelligence means acting with an intent. When there is an intent, there is a purpose. When there is a purpose, there is a project. When there is a project, there is a plan. When there is a plan, there is a when there is a plan, there is a substance. When there is substance, when there is a benefit. That benefit is for himself or others. He doesn't need any benefit for others. So for others to be benefitful, he should be merciful, graceful, and imminent in everything, and able to delegate the things. That is the Srimanarayana here. That's how Ramanuja beautifully derives the definition of the God. So once you take this definition of the God, so now how he solves this theological problem. We don't need to go entire Srivasha, we don't need to go entire of his works. The first Mangal Slokam of the Srivasha, we all know, that's it, that's enough, it solved the problem. He says that the creation, sustentation and dissolving thing is happening as a Leela. So in this Leela Vibhuti, so you have the bound by the law of karma. When there is a law of karma, so you incur something, you pick up an action, you incur something, you think it's your doing, it comes to your bucket. And if you are suffering, it comes to bucket. That way all the great devotees, even Ramadasa, Chagaraja, they all suffered, they didn't suffer. Chagaraja, one of the Kirtana, he says, he blames Garudalvar instead of Bhagavan. Kagaraju niyanati vini vega chanaledo, gagananiki ilaku bahuduram vaninadu. It means the Garudalvar didn't start for you because of me. He thinks that maybe the Vaikuntham and Bhulokam is so far, I don't want to come right now. So that's how the Bhaktas perceive the God. So in this solution, so there is no blame for the God, because the moment you pick up an action, you think you are doing it, so you are suffering it. So he's in his Leela Vibhuti. Now the critics ask, okay, what is Leela? Leela is a divine full play. In what are you playing? So that means you lack something that you want to play. If you lack something, you are not 100% satisfied, right? You are not 100% fulfilled. So how can you solve that? And then Swami gives another beautiful example. How the 3-year-old kid crawls back to the bunch of toys, picks a toy at random, place at random, and then after it gets bored and throw the toy out. So that's how Bhagavan does the Leela. Now the kid doesn't have any intention, doesn't have any desire to play the toy. It's just out of the random he did. So this kind of beautiful theological solutions he provided with his works. And the third one, the beautiful one, the best one, it causes a lot of confusion among the Indian theologists too. there's a Nirakara Brahma, the Nirguna Brahma. There are some schools of thought that the Vigraharadhana is the one step towards the consciousness. The highest consciousness is the consciousness where you see the Brahma with no Akara. So that is the highest one. Ramanuja refused that furiously. He said that no, because there is no other than this. God is neither immanent nor transcendental. The immanent God that exists in all of us, and everything comes as a transcendental to be an expressive, executive manner out of his own will, without compromises. There is no compromise of Kalyana Gunas of the world. So that's why he examples like he beautifully says, okay, there are the Shruti Vakyas that God is a formless. So you cannot avoid that. There are Shruti Vakyas about God. And Acharya says that, okay, now defend the form. So what is form? The form has three things. The first one, five things. First one, the body which are five elements. And then it's bound by the karma. It's given by somebody else. And then it is degenerative in nature. And then the fifth one is it is bound by time and space. Now Ramanuja explains that God doesn't have a body made up with five elements. And it doesn't bound by the karma. It won't be degenerative. It is doesn't bound by the time and space. And it didn't give by anybody else, he to himself took it. So that kind of a form God has. The Leela Manusharupa that God has. That's a vibhuti. In the Paramapadam Ritya Vibhuti, he stays like that, and then he comes for us as a Sulabha in the Archamurti. That's how he proves that Archamurti is also there. The lotus feet of Venkateshwara in Sacramento, lotus feet of Venkateshwara in Tirupati, there is no difference. They both can take us to the Mukti. So they both can give us the Mukti. The only thing Acharya expects is Pachivarta Chintana. The solely respect and the solely confidence in the God that through him, through the Acharya, we go to him. The last one was why we take the Acharya's help. Why can't we go directly? So if there is a like 50-ton rock, how can we move the 50-ton rock? We can't move it. We buy a crane. We buy a crane and we move it. When the crane is moving it, what are we doing? We are just pulling the lever. How much force we take to pull the lever? Just small force. But that lever is pulling the 50-ton rock. Acharya is our crane. All we need is a little bit of help towards him. That's it. He will pull us everything. He will give us the Vaikuntha. If we go to the gods directly, we may or may not get the Vaikuntha. But with the help of Acharya, the Amma, we go to that, we definitely get the Vaikuntha. That's why he's the greatest philosopher. All these things, we have to, today we have information in our pocket. We can go, there is plenty of research articles on Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. There's plenty of literature available in English, in all our languages we have. We don't need to know the Sanskrit, the level of Sanskrit that is in the Sri Bhasham. Obviously we cannot read it like a novel. We have to get under the Acharya, trained under Acharyas. But at least we can get the basic philosophical tenets that he proposed, and all the things like minimum basic knowledge of the Leela, Leela, Samsara, Avidya, all those things we have to learn for us, because this is the literature survived the invasions. 12,000 Sri Vaishnavas in Sri Rangam sacrificed for this literature, for Namperumal, for all these things. Vedanta Deshika sat 3 days under the Kaveri sands to save that Sruta Prakashika for the Ramanuja Gita Bhasha. So, Sri Bhasha. So we have to respect all these things with this. So from today onwards, let's take the one step towards knowing the Ramanuja philosophy, knowing the Ramanuja Sambandhi, be a Ramanuja Sambandhis, and then Ramanuja Paratirtha Muktim Vindhati Vinjati Ava they explain. You will get it for sure. Yes, Srimati Ramanuja.
To cut short the talk, because it's a philosophy, even 1 hour is insufficient. We should have a separate audience, wonderful story, wonderful college of all these things. But because of you have the watch never stops, and that's the problem. Yeah, chanting.